Hey, excited to be here. Give it a couple minutes, notifications to go out, all those good things as I get started. Excited to be here. This is the now starting into the second full week doing these on each of the different platforms. If you guys are watching in, man, excited to be here. Have some great content to share this morning, some conversations that I had with others, some pieces that I've read this morning myself, and man, excited to go through it. So let's get off and going. This is the coffee chat that I do every day, Monday through Friday, non-holidays, to just bring a little bit of content, what I'm learning and going through. Today, I'm going to kick off with connections and relationships. Part of the roundtable that I lead as part of the impact-driven leader, we've gone through several books. And what was interesting, one of the last books that we went through, I'll hold this up, Lift by Faisal Haq. There's a key element in here. I was not prepared for this, but hopefully I can get to it quickly. And in this, there's something pretty transformational. And it is a piece that, as he regards part of transformational leadership. And I'm going to read this line to you real quick. It will require a sense of connection with others and systemic thinking and execution to realize the full potential of transformational leadership. Leadership is about connections. Leadership is about relationships. I'll discuss this when I get into my segment that is deemed my thought of the day. And, when I stop and I think about this idea of connections and relationships, I ask myself, what are you doing? What are we doing as leaders to build and develop those connections and relationships? Are we actively trying to foster them? Are we, acting with values and integrity so that way we are who we say we are? I mean, that ties into the next segment here in the caption is, are people whom they say they are? I think one of the biggest deters of our society is people that act, look, say one thing, and then completely do something different in another instance. There's a lack of consistency. You could say there's a lack of integrity. Integrity being, who you say you are when it's most necessary. When it comes to connections and relationships and leading and interacting with others and being able to influence and make the most of our, what we do every day, man, it really relies on relationships, valuing those relationships, valuing the relationships really over results. I've seen this. I've been implored this by leaderships. If you connect with people and you value them, you value that relationship, if you're following the right process, the results will come. But if you take people for granted, if maybe you don't value who they are, but you have the right process, you may get results, but they won't last long. They won't be meaningful. They won't extend out past a short period of time. It's kind of like the adage, flash in a pan. It really is that. And so this question, are people whom they say they are? I challenge you, but I encourage you. One of the areas that I've had to grow myself is really making sure that I'm not this chameleon. And part of that is of my own self. I had a discussion with a friend this morning. We were talking about that is a lot of times in sales and it can leak then into leadership. We think we need to be a chameleon. That can cause a lot of, disintegrity. That can cause a lot of personal challenge. It's when we say we are who we are and when others show up as who they are, man, that's when you're appreciated. That's when you're valued. That's when people know what they're going to get. Now, part of learning and growing there, I think, as I've learned and understood, is trying to not be who you aren't so you don't offend people when you're trying to be who you are. Be comfortable in what you are. And the next piece I'm going to tap into here is health and wellness. And part of this is, as a leader, I believe this. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't possibly take care of others. You can try to burn the candle at both ends. A friend of mine this morning wrote about how she will never read the book Think and Grow Rich again. Now, I enjoy the book. I read it for the last several years every December. And I read what she wrote, and what Susan wrote was, this idea of ruthlessness and accomplishment, man, it leaves a lot to be desired. It comes back to those connections to relationships. If you're ruthless in what you're trying to get, do you take advantage of people? Do you take them for granted? Well, I believe when it comes to health and wellness, This idea of if we're taking care of ourselves, well, we got to take care of others. Is your health, is your wellness, is your, physical body important to you? Well, if you're ruthless, probably not. You'll just burn up, burn out, and then the next. But yet, if you consider that, hey, I need to take care of myself, I truly believe as a leader, you're going to lend to taking care of others. You're not going to look to burn them out. You're not going to look at results above everything else. And this leads into my thought of the day. I'm going to read it off here. Wait a second. We'll get this going. Thought of the day. Organizations either form or deform people. That can be a bit of a shock. That can really take you back for a second. Think about that. Organizations between connections and relationships and values and people being who they are form the actions people are going to follow. Or they can deform them. Now, this thought isn't mine. It actually is from Peter Drucker. I'm glad to share it with you that organizations form or deform people. Now, they develop them either way. You can form them into a shape, form that their balance of their strengths where they're viable, or you can deform them. You can develop them to where they lose that structure. They lose that identity. Maybe they're caught always thinking. Maybe they're self-conscious. Maybe they don't know where they fit. I see that going on in an organization right now in my life. And I'm, tangent to it. I'm tertiary to it. I'm not involved in it. I don't have a place in it, but I do know people that are. And it pains me to see them every day. There's not a value to the relationship. There's not a value to the connection. There's not a value to their health and wellness. It's a leader who is putting results over formation. And it's actually causing a deformation. It's causing people to be who they aren't really. A discerning eye can see that from the outside. Organizations either form or deform people. Keep that in mind. That's a great responsibility of the culture and the organization. How do you want people to be formed? So if you're not focused on that, you're going to end up deforming people. Glad to be here with you today. Thank you each for commenting, showing up. I appreciate it, Lucas. Good to see you. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.